crocheters, it's Karen Whooley. Welcome to episode 2 of the Karen Whooley Designs podcast. I'm so excited you're here, and thank you so much for all of the support last week on my first episode of the podcast in this format. And after a break of almost 3 months of doing podcasts, I really appreciate having you all here. I can't believe it's already almost mid-September. The weather here is really warm. Last night, my husband and I went to our final baseball game of the year. We have a minor league team here in the local area, the Tri-City Dust Devils. It was their last game of the season, and even though they lost, it was such a great game. It was actually one of the better games we saw this entire season. So it's just, fall is in the air, but it's still really warm, and today it's supposed to be in the 90s again, so we'll see what happens. But let's go ahead and get started with today's podcast. First up is what's new. So, first thing that's new, I'm so excited to share with you. You probably, if you follow me on other social media platforms, you've probably already seen this, but I am now a new We Crochet ambassador. So excited. And as an ambassador, the first thing I want to let you guys know is that I do have a 10% off coupon on your next purchase at We Crochet. It's not available with any other sales they have going on or any other discounts that they have going on. So if you're buying something, I believe they have a percentage off on certain products right now. You can't use it with those products, but you can use it with anything else. And I'm going to put it right here. It is, I gotta read it to you. It's AWCKARENWHOOLEY. Again, it's right here. I am going to be giving you 10% off for September. You have to put it in the cart when you're checking out, and that'll give you your 10% off. And since I am a new ambassador, I wanted to show you some of the yarns I have in the studio right now. I got them after I ended the podcast for the summer. Some of them have already been used for my new book. These are the colors I still have left that I'm going to be using this month for projects in the book. So I want to show you. It's Knit Pick Stroll. And I'm going to start with their tweed yarns. So I actually have 3 tweed colors left. Oops, I'm going to turn these around here. That I'm going to be using in the sock book. This one is called Earl Grey Heather, and I love it. Look at the tweed. It's got kind of brown and black flecks in there. It's beautiful. And then this one's Lavender Fields Heather, and this one's got black and brown tweeds in there as well. Kind of a taupey color. And it's kind of a purple color, so I really love this one. And this final one is Atlantis Heather, and it's kind of a greeny teal. On camera it looks more green than it is in person. It's got a little more blue in it. But again, there's the tweeds in there. And I don't know about you, but lately tweeds have been really popular, and I've been loving some of the things that I've been seeing, not just in garments, but even in blankets. The tweeds that have been coming out. So these tweeds are going to be a lot of fun for the projects in the book. So those are the tweeds I have left. Now I have some solids too. I'm just going to show you one by one. This is Blue Steel Heather, and I had to get this one because I've never mentioned this before, but in college I was a member. Well, I still am a member. I'm an alumna member of Zeta Tau Alpha sorority or fraternity. We're actually a fraternity, not a sorority, but most people would call us a sorority. And our colors are turquoise blue and steel gray. And this is almost the color of our steel gray. Our steel gray is a teeny bit lighter. On camera, it's a little darker than what it is here, but it's still a little teeny bit darker than, or a teeny bit lighter than what you're seeing here. So when I saw the name of that, I had to use that color. The second color I have is navy, and this is just a really, it almost looks black on camera, but it's a really beautiful navy. I forgot to mention too, both the tweeds and the solids are super soft. I should mention that they are 70% or 75% superwash merino wool and 25% nylon. I love Stroll. Stroll is awesome for socks. It's awesome for because obviously the name is socks, but it's awesome for garments, for shawls, for all sorts of things, and even the projects in my book. So this is the navy, and then this one is Midnight Heather, which is almost a true black. It's got a, well, I guess I would call this a true black in this I mean, you can see the difference here. You can see the blue, there's the navy, and then there's the Midnight Heather. It's a little on the lighter side of a true black, but it's still black. And then I have this Duchess Heather. I couldn't remember the name of it. And these two are going to go together. Isn't that gorgeous? They're just beautiful. If you're a purple fan, I highly recommend this color. This is beautiful. And then the last solid I have is Ash, which is a true gray. A little darker than the steel blue one. It's more on the gray side. This one's more on the blue. You can really see the difference now here with those colors. But I'm so excited about these. So those are just some of the yarns I have in stock. These are the newer yarns that I've gotten. I have more in my stash back there. I'm trying to figure out where it is in the video. Anyway, I'll be showing some of those later. There are other yarns that I've gotten over the years. There's one that I'm going to be working on later this year once I finish the projects for the book. So stay tuned for more. But don't forget about the code. It's good through September. AWCKARENWHOOLEY, all one word together. And again, it'll be in the show notes as well as at the bottom of this video. So let's move on to what's new in the studio. As many of you know, I'm a member of the Desert Fiber Arts Guild here in the Tri-Cities, Washington. And they are a guild that is committed to not only like knit and crochet, but they are spinners, they are weavers, they are basket weavers. We've got people who do felting, needle felting, all sorts of felting. We've got, all the different types of weaving. It's a huge, huge guild. They've been around for 50 years. This is their 50th year. And one of the things we do is we have a fall market every year. And this is our 50th year for the fall market. And it's November 1st and 2nd. So if you're local to me, I live in the Tri-Cities, Washington. If you're in Spokane, if you're in Wenatchee, if you're in Chelan, if you're in Yakima, Ellensburg, the eastern side of Washington, you definitely need to come. What this does is not only do we create things for sale, but there's, education there as well. And there's a raffle that my group that I meet with every Thursday, which is called Sticks and Hooks. It's knitters and crocheters. This year they just did a solid knitting Afghan that is absolutely beautiful. The pictures are not ready yet, otherwise I'd show it to you, but it's a Celtic knot project. It's a blanket that has big, I want to say they're like 12 or 15-inch squares of all sorts of different Celtic knots done in the greens and 2 different shades of green. It's beautiful. As soon as I get a picture of it, I'll share it with you. But if you're interested in attending from my local peeps, it's, again, Friday, November 1st, Saturday, November 2nd in Richland, Washington. I put a link in the show notes to the guild, so stay tuned for that. But I wanted to share with you, because it's new in the studio, is one of the members of our guild is a dyer, and I forgot that too. We support dyers as well. And she's a newish dyer. And she is all about the organic yarns and the organic dyes. So she came in and I spent a little more than I should have, but she had some beautiful lace weight yarn. And you know me, I'm a lace weight girl and a fingering weight girl. But she did these hand dyes of lace weight, and I had to buy some. So the first ones are, these two are called Twinberry. and they're natural dyed. I cannot remember what she said she dyed these with, but look at that. It's kind of a taupey color, and if you look at it in person, I don't know if you can see the tonality in it, but there's a lot of tonal stuff in there. And again, these are all organic, so it's all natural dyes. Very minimal mordant in there to change the color too, is what she did say. 100% organic merino. So those are two that are, they're 400 yards each, 50 grams, and it's lace weight. And then I bought a third hank called Salal. Salal is the color. It's this beautiful steel blue, of course, you know, blue. Karen has never met a blue she doesn't love. And again, this is a fingering weight, 100% merino, organic merino, and it is 400 yards as well. So I can't decide if I'm going to put these three together and do something, or if I'm going to do something separately with each one. I've got an idea of something I could do separately with this one. Again, I have to wait till my book's done. But I really have an idea for this. And I actually have an idea for these two by themselves too. So we'll see what happens. But I wanted to show you her name. Her name is Fix Wheel Fibers. She is a knitting designer. Her name is Kitty Bryan. You can find her on Ravelry. I did see her on Ravelry. So Kitty, Kitty Bryan. I'll put her name in and Ravelry page in my show notes. But I don't think she has a website that we can find, or I can find anyway, for her yarns. I mean, this is so new. She brought in like 2 trays of yarn, and I think it was all gone by the time our 2-hour meeting, our guild meeting was up. So that's new in the studio. So let's talk about what's new with projects. So I don't have a whole lot to show you. I can tell you that last week I finished 2 projects for the book. I'm starting another one today after I get this video done. But I did get one of my socks done. This is knit, of course. This is my kind of my palette cleanser. After I finished my second sock, I started to work on a third, and I just needed something to clear my brain. So I worked on this watching football yesterday. Go Hawks, we won. And I finished this while we were watching football. I had, before I started, I had almost halfway through the gusset decreases, and I finished all of this during the football game. And then yesterday at the softball or baseball game, I got this much done on my second sock. So I had to stop about the middle of the 8th inning because I dropped a stitch. I don't know if you guys can see that right there. I dropped a stitch. I've got it held up here. Later today, I need to pick up those stitches. I think I dropped like 5 rows, so I need to fix that. But I love this Wedgwood Yarns oyster shell and how it's turned out for the first sock. Obviously, this sock needs to be blocked, but I'm so excited. I did a 5-inch leg before I did the heel. And then, of course, I have short feet, small feet. I wear a size 8, but it's funny because my socks look so much smaller than a size 8. So anyway, that is all I can show you with projects this week. So I'm very excited that is done, or that far. I've gotten that far. And I've decided that one of the things with football for me, and I don't know if this is true with you, but I am a huge football fan. I was raised by a dad who was a big Oakland Raiders fan back in the day when John Madden was the head coach, and I really cut my teeth on football when I was a child. And then when I was in high school, I went to the sister school. I went to an all-girls Catholic school named Carondelet High School in Concord, California. And our brother school is the world famous. Everybody knows that knows anything about high school football. The De La Salle Spartans in Concord, California, also. And that's where I really learned to love football, because my sophomore year was the first year De La Salle went undefeated. And then shortly thereafter started the 51 game undefeated streak, and I was there for that. So I'm, you know, honestly, I'm thrilled to say that I was, you know, I knew the team when they were just getting started. But since moving to Washington, I've become a huge Seahawks fan. I'm still a Raiders fan. But the thing with football and me is that I get so into the games. My kids always tell me I have two faces. I have crochet face and I have football face. So when I watch football, when I'm stressed, I get tight. So this year I've decided that the only thing I'm going to work on while I'm watching football is going to be knitted socks. Not even crocheted socks, knitted socks. Because I get so stressed out that my crochet gets so tight that I end up having to rip out everything I've done during the game. But with knitting socks, I like them to be tighter. So my stress does not affect my gauge. It's weird. It's the weirdest thing. But I am going to be knitting socks all football season long. So you'll see these done probably next week, and I'll probably have a new set on my needles shortly thereafter for the following games. So, and I already think I have the yarn picked out for another pair of socks. Now I'm at this point, I'm like I mentioned before, I'm replacing some socks in my studio. So the next few will be for me. Maybe this one and maybe two more will be for me. And then I'm going to be knitting socks for just anybody. They might be for my husband, it might be for one of my kids, it might be for a friend, but I have to do socks because I tried to do a little bit of crochet before I started working on this sock, and I had to rip the whole thing out. So that's what I'm going to be working on. So let's get on to the next thing, which is your comments and your stories. Now, I pulled up all of your comments from last week, and appreciate everybody who said, you know, thanks, it was good to see you back, and all that kind of thing. So I'm going to read a couple of those just so you know, so you can hear what people have said. Frances from New Zealand, I'm so glad you were there to watch. She said, nice to see you back. I did that hat a few years ago, a great pattern. She was talking about, I had showed the Cadence hat that I did in the twice sheared sheep yarn. Still hasn't come out as a kit yet, but it will be, so stay tuned for that. And then Sharon, SK Hoyt 6024. Good to see you again, Karen. Your Audrey sweater is looking good. Nice color. I have made 2 Audreys, and it's a great pattern. And I'm so excited to be working on this Audrey. I showed you the sweater. It's a knit sweater. And again, it's a palette cleanser between things. I cannot knit a sweater while I'm watching football. Just so you guys know. Cannot do it. I've tried crocheting sweaters. Anything I crochet just shrinks. It's just terrible. And then with knitting, anything bigger than socks, I just cannot do it. It's just the tension's not there. So thank you, Sharon. So hopefully, I would like to get a couple more projects done for the book this week, and then maybe work on Audrey a little bit this weekend before football, maybe after football. But that's kind of where I'm at with sweaters right now. And then I want to move on to a story that was in the comments. And again, I love hearing your stories. Last week I told you the story of how I learned to crochet and, you know, becoming a designer and all that kind of thing. I'd really love to hear your stories. I only got one last week. I'd love to read a story from you guys every week. So send me a story. You can do it either by posting it in the comments, or you can send me an email with the story, and I'll read your email at hello@KarenWhooley.com, and that's going to be in the show notes as well. So this is from Frances, who is just me and crochet. And she said, hi, Karen, nice to have you back. You have been busy, and I can't believe that you've done 14 projects. When you see the book, you'll understand why I was able to do 14 projects. But yeah, and I've got 16 done now. Actually, yeah, 16. I really enjoyed how you learned to crochet, and it's nice to see that you still have your first project that you crocheted. And that reminds me, I have to show you something else too. You did a great job on that hanger. Loved all your new yarn. I can't wait to see what you do with them. Now for my story. Okay, so this is Frances's story. I started crocheting in the 70s. I had friends that crocheted, but they were all right-handed. So I just watched them for a while and then told them that I would try, but I would hold my hook different from them. And this is something that lefties, I hear from lefties all the time, that, you know, everybody was right-handed. They were the left-handed person. They were going to hold the hook differently because they are left-handed. They were making the ripple stitch, and I wanted to make a blanket for my husband for our first anniversary. And that's anybody who's learned to crochet in the 70s, including me, may have made those ripple blankets, I'm sure, for sure. So you know what, Frances, if you have a picture of it, I'd love to see it and share it next week. So make sure you send me a picture if you can. Okay, for her, so she wanted to make this ripple blanket for her husband's, their anniversary, their first anniversary. So my friends showed me the ripple stitch, and I just watched them and did my own thing. It took me a year to make that blanket. The only thing that went wrong was I didn't know what to do at the end of the row. So my blanket kept growing, and that's why it took me a year to complete. I could totally relate to that. Anyway, my husband still has that blanket, even though it wasn't perfect. So send me a picture. I'd love to see a picture. After that, I told myself I was going to learn how to read patterns, because when I see something I want to crochet and I want it to look like the picture. I bought a book for beginners and taught myself how to read patterns. The book was not for left-handed people. Even though I'm left-handed, I can still figure out patterns. I have to do the opposite of what the pattern is saying. So I'm so glad that I did not give up, because crochet is my passion. That's it about me. By the way, love the hat. Frances, your story is so similar to most people that I talk to who are lefties, that they were forced to learn right-handed. And it's funny, I'm so glad you stuck with it, first of all, before I go on to my next thought. I'm so glad you stuck with it. I'm so glad that you figured out how to read patterns and do the opposite. That's the thing I noticed even when I was younger crocheting, is that my best friend had crocheted a little bit. She's left-handed. And that's the thing, is that there was nothing there for lefties to be able to say go to the right and rather than go to the left like we as righties do. So it's funny, because my thought was, while I was reading this, is that this last week, I don't know how many of you guys know, but over the course of 2024, I have a Stitch of the Month blanket that we're doing, and that's going to morph into something else, so stay tuned on that. But I just did a trial this year with a bunch of people. I think there's 21 of you out there who are doing it. And this last week, we had our monthly Zoom call. And one of my crocheters is a lefty, and she was telling me that she's a lefty, and I had been making my videos just right-handed, not thinking about it. And she's saying, she's learned to be able to take a video and change it in her head. So we started talking, the whole group. And one of the things she also mentioned is that charts are hard to read for lefties. So if you're a lefty, so Frances, I know for sure you can definitely chime in on this one. But she was recommending that I flip the charts in my patterns too, or at least have like a QR code that she can scan and get a page on my website with the charts flipped if there's a space issue. I'd love for you to weigh in on that, because most charts are the right hand side starts row 1, because right-handed start at the right side and go to the left. Would it be helpful? Do you think that would be helpful for left-handed people to have a chart that starts at the left-hand side, just like a lefty would start? So weigh in on that. Even if you're not a left-handed person, if you know somebody who's left-handed, ask them and see if that would be something they'd like to do. I do want to let you guys know that in the future, all the videos I make, I finally have figured out how to flip them so that lefties can watch the video, and I will be speaking in ways where I will be saying go to the next stitch rather than go to the next stitch to the left, or on the left hand side do this or whatever. I am going to be speaking in neutral terms so that the next stitch could be to your right or it could be to your left. So stay tuned for that. But thank you so much, Frances, for giving me your story. And if you have a story about how you learned to crochet, I really want to hear your story, how you learned to crochet, even if it's just 2 sentences or 3 sentences. I'm self-taught, or, you know, my grandmother taught me, but I put it aside for 10 years and then, or 15 years or whatever, however many years. I just got a note from a new subscriber that told me that she learned around the same time I did, but then she put it down for 25 years before she picked it up again. So, stay tuned for more stories. Please send me your stories. I'd really love to hear them. And so I don't have a story for you of myself this week because I've been so focused on my book. I just haven't had a chance to think about another story to tell you. But please, please, please send me your stories. That's it for this week. Hopefully this was a little shorter than last week. And I am looking forward to talking to you next week. I have a few things that are coming that I want to share and review with you, but they didn't get here this week, so they'll have to hold for next week. But thank you for being here. If you really like this video, please like and subscribe if you are not already subscribed, or have hit the thumbs up button. I really, really would love to hear from you. And don't forget about that a 10% off coupon at We Crochet. Bye, y'all. God bless, and I'll see you next week.